everyone, and welcome to my channel. If you enjoy scary stories of the paranormal, things unexplained, bizarre and mysterious people, then you have come to the right channel. All of my stories are either soft spoken or whispered. So, if you like that, stay tuned. Before you put on your earphones, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the like button and the notification bell. I gotta keep you busy before you relax. So go ahead, either close your eyes and listen to scary stories or watch the relaxing candle. We're gonna go ahead and get started. This article is titled Quarantining with a Ghost? It's Scary. For those who believe they're locked down with a spectral roommate, this pandemic has been less isolating than they bargained for. It started with the front door. Adrian Gomez lives with his partner in Los Angeles, where their first few days of sheltering in place for the coronavirus pandemic proved uneventful. They worked remotely, baked, took a 2-mile walk each morning, and refinished their porcelain kitchen sink. But then, one night, the doorknob began to rattle vigorously, so loud he could hear it from across the apartment. Yet, no one was there. In mid-April, Mr. Gomez was in bed when a nearby window shade began shaking against the window frame so intently, despite the fact that the window was closed and adjacent window shade remained perfectly still. The cats were all accounted for, and no bug, nor bird, nor any other small creature had gotten stuck there. That Mr. Gomez thought it was an earthquake. I very seriously hid myself under the comforter like you see in horror movies because it really did freak me out, he said. Now, though neither he nor his partner noticed any unexplained activity at home before this, the couple can distinctly make out footsteps above their heads. No one lives above them. I'm a fairly rational person, said Mr. Gomez, who is 26 and works in IT support. I try to think, what are the reasonable, tangible things that could be causing this? But when I don't have those answers, I start to think, maybe something else is going on. They're not alone, possibly in more ways than one. For those whose experience of self-isolation involves what they believe to be a ghost, their days are punctuated not just by Zoom meetings or homeschooling, but by disembodied voices, shadowy figures, misbehaving electronics, invisible cats cozying up on couches, caresses from hands that aren't there, and even in some cases, to borrow the technical parlance of Ghostbusters, free-floating full torso various apparitions or vaporous apparitions. Some of these people are frightened, of course. Others say they just appreciate the company. There is no scientific evidence for the existence of ghosts, a fact that has been bearing on our collective enthusiasm for them. According to a 2019 YouGov survey, 45% of U.S. adults believe in ghosts. In 2009, the Pew Research Center found that 18% of Americans believe themselves to have seen or otherwise encountered one. Before stay-at-home restrictions in New York, Patrick Hines, 42, left Manhattan with his husband and daughter to spend 6 weeks at an adorable cottage in western Massachusetts that they rented on Airbnb. One night, Mr. Hines woke up around 3 a.m., thirsty for a glass of water. He said he walked into the kitchen and saw a white man in his 50s wearing a well-worn World War II era military uniform and cap sitting at the table. It seemed normal in the split second before I realized, wait, what's happening? And as I turned to look, he was gone, said Mr. Hines, who is the host of the podcast True Crime Obsessed. It didn't feel menacing at all. It almost didn't even occur to me to tell my husband the next morning. If you were to accept the premise that ghosts are real, it stands to reason that some tension would naturally result once their flesh and blood roommates start spending much more time at home together. John E. L. Tenney, who describes himself as a paranormal researcher and is a former host of the TV show Ghost Stalkers, estimates that he received 2 to 5 reports of a haunted house each month in 2019. Lately, it's been more like 5 to 10 in a week. Mr. Tenney has seen something like this before. In 1999, immediately before Y2K, he witnessed a spike in reported ghost and poltergeist activity, as well as UFO sightings, which in his experience are also on the rise in this moment. It does seem to have something to do with our heightened state of anxiety, our hypervigilance, he said. Mr. Tenney has no doubt that the vast majority of these cases in his inbox are completely explainable in nature. When the sun comes up and the house starts to warm up, they're usually at work. They're not used to hearing the bricks pop and the wood expand, he said. It's not that the house wasn't making those sounds, they just never had time to notice it. Or did they? Janie Cohen believes she's been haunted since college. The ghost she calls Matthew, a good biblical name chosen in the hopes it would keep him on his best behavior, explained Miss Cowan, who is 26, has historically made his presence known in her Nashville home through the sounds of someone running up and down the staircase at night. The noises are not like a house settling or like our cat walking around, said her husband, Will Cohen, a 31-year-old accountant. It's very clearly out to get attention. Around the same time the couple began to self-isolate in March, Mr. Cohen started to use their guest bathroom so that his wife, a home health nurse who has been picking up more night shifts during the pandemic, could sleep in without the sounds of his morning routine disturbing her. He has found that Matthew, who both spouses agree prefers Mrs. Cohen, doesn't seem to appreciate these things. On 3 separate occasions, while showering in the guest bath, Mr. Cohen has been unexpectedly blasted with cold water. But it wasn't just a quirk of the plumbing. Every time he said he reached out to find that the hot water nozzle had been turned off. Madison Hill, 24, is riding out the pandemic with her boyfriend in her apartment in Florence, Italy. Miss Hill, a writer and teacher originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, had always had her suspicions about her home, particularly the bathroom. There was the sense that someone was watching her. Doors slamming, towels inexplicably on the floor. A few weeks into the quarantine, she woke up to find something on her nightstand that did not belong there. It was a camera lens, one she had brought from the United States, but lost when she moved in. She had long given up on ever finding it, but here it was. Since then, other small objects, including a set of keys, have moved to strange new places inside her apartment. The reappearance of the camera lens in particular struck her as a mischievous, playful gesture. Perhaps even a thoughtful suggestion that this could be the perfect time for Miss Hill, who majored in film in college, to pick up her old hobby. Carrie Dunlap shares a 1-bedroom apartment in the Ridgewood neighborhood of Queens with his girlfriend, Alexandra Cole. Mr. Dunlap, a 31-year-old teacher, rapper, and concert promoter, believes he first met their resident ghost last summer. He saw her in the bathroom in the middle of the night, wearing green scrubs, standing an arm's length away from him. She appeared to be glowing. The woman vanished when he turned on the light. Mr. Dunlap knew that one of the friends the couple is subleasing from had spotted a ghost in the apartment. Both agreed they'd seen an older Asian woman of small stature. Mr. Dunlap and Miss Cole, a 27-year-old writer and editor, used to find themselves in a routine late-night tug-of-war of the too small comforter they shared. Several weeks ago, Mr. Dunlap woke late at night to the sensation of what he assumed was Miss Cole adjusting the blanket at his feet to spread it evenly across the bed. When the movement stopped and he didn't feel his girlfriend climb into bed beside him, he called out to her. She didn't answer. Then she came from the bathroom. It was so weird, dude. Mr. Dunlap said. It was so weird. But the incident left him and Miss Cole with a lingering positive impression, like whoever or whatever it was had been trying to make the couple feel more comfortable, or to mediate a potential conflict between them before it happened. Kurt Gray, an associate professor at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, studies how we perceive and treat the minds of other entities, including animals, machines, and the dead. Times of great unease or malaise, when there is an increased drive to find meaning in chaos, can lend themselves to perceived hauntings, he said. Not to mention that disease itself shares certain psychological parallels with a malevolent spirit, creeping invisibly upon its unsuspecting victims. This phenomenon could also be a side effect of the loneliness of our time. In quarantine, you are physically confined and also psychologically confined. Your world narrows, Mr. Gray said. You're trapped at home. You're needing human contact. It's comforting to think that there's a supernatural agent here with you. For Danielle, a 39-year-old lawyer, isolation predates this pandemic. The Times agreed to not use her last name to protect her professional reputation. She has been recovering at her home in Richmond, British Columbia, since contracting an unrelated serious illness over winter. She first experienced strange activity in February, she said, when she kept walking into her guest bedroom to find a particular lamp turned on, although she had no memory of leaving it that way. This happened again and again and again, until, on a whim, she said aloud, "Don't turn that back on." The next time she entered the room, she found the ceiling light, which she never, ever switches on, blazing. On more than one occasion, she has heard the voices of a man and woman having a conversation she couldn't quite make out. More recently, she was sewing face masks in the same bedroom. She had exactly enough fabric left to make one more mask. But when she briefly turned away from the ironing board where she had just pressed the double cotton gauze, the two remaining pieces disappeared. It was gone, Danielle said. Like in a 20-second period, gone. I went and checked the garbage pail. Nothing. Checked the recycling. Nothing. My fabric stash. Nothing. I tore the house apart looking for these two pieces of fabric, and they never come back. Danielle describes herself as a highly social person, one whose friends and family have worried about how she'd fare cooped up all by herself. This kind of feels like someone popping by to cheer me up, or keep tabs, or make sure that I'm not feeling alone, she said. If the idea of a paranormal identity can provide someone a little bit of social sustenance to help them endure their solitude, Mr. Gray said, then great. At least as long as the ghost isn't advising its hauntees to go into emergency rooms without a mask and French kiss everyone, he said. Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night? Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic? Don't panic, said Mr. Tenney, the Ghost Stalker's host. Take careful notes on what you observe. You may soon find a rational explanation for your fears. What if that strange noise at 2:50 p.m. every weekday is just the UPS truck clattering by? But Mr. Tenney also offers this. One could argue that the ghost puttering around in your kitchen is not only there, but she's always been there. Maybe you're what's changed, or maybe you're listening more closely in the greater quiet all around us. Perhaps we're just now starting to notice that the world is a little bit weirder than we give it credit for, he said. Did you have any experiences when you've been left alone, say for quarantining for months at a time? Did your mind play tricks on you? Did you hear things, see things late at night? Because I know me, I binged on Netflix quite a bit. And I was up late at night and I would hear things. But I think it was just my mind playing tricks on me. I have zero answer for it. But there are things, noises, like one time I was up late at night and I could hear talking coming from the back bedroom and I had to stop. My heart just was pounding, my stomach sank, and once I listened more and more and kind of crept back to that back bedroom, it was my son talking in his sleep. So that kind of washed that. But at first I thought, okay, I've got somebody here. Now remember, I live in an area that had high activity during the Civil War, and so there was the presence of the Union and the Confederate soldiers. There's a battle field about a mile from my house, and there was a big battle that happened up the road. So I know that there's things that, are unexplainable going on. And the other day, one of my previous videos, I had my candle going, and I left the room to get something and come back. My candle was burnt out. I asked my husband and my son if they blew out the candle, and they said no. And then I had recorded a whole 45-minute story on Joan of Arc, and it's nowhere to be found on my phone, completely erased. It's like, well, I guess that story is just not meant to be told. So, and it's funny because she was burned at the stake and then my candle burned out. I don't know, coincidence, I think. So if you have a story that you would like told in a future broadcast, email me. My email is in the description box, or comment below if you have a link to a website or a story of your own that you would like told in either soft-spoken or whispered form. So until then, I hope you enjoyed today's story. Hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, and the like button. It really does help, and I like knowing that you like these stories too. So until then, stay a little scared. Bye.